power, the total financial hour.
Hey guys, welcome to the show. My name is Arif. We thought we'd run the whole song for you today. It's kind of nice. Jimmy Carnelli, folks, the Jimmy Carnelli Band, he's going to be out there performing for quite a few holiday events. If you take a look, just use them on that magic Bing device. I don't like to say the G word. The guys that are tolerant of everybody, but unless you have a different idea, you have to think everything that one particular party believes, or financially, you are doomed. What does that mean? How many of you are thinking that you're going to have a pension? And maybe you, maybe. About 19% of Americans are expected to have a pension. Well, listen, part of the planning is you are thinking that the pension will be there. I'll give you a good example. We had a gentleman who worked for Caltrans, and he said, Arif, I'm not saving at all. I'm not buying any rental property. I'm not saving in Roth IRAs. I'm not saving in traditional IRAs. I'm not saving in my 457, which is his company retirement plan. Nothing. I said, why? He said, because I have an amazing pension. Okay. Now, putting all your eggs in one basket, you might win. You might do very well. You might actually have guessed correctly. It would be like buying, Bitcoin or ABC stock 123 or something. You might have hit a home run or a strikeout. There's almost no in between when you put all your eggs in one basket. So my contention is, look, I want you to be a little bit safer with your money. I don't mind you taking big risks if that's what you feel like you want to do with your money. If you feel like you want to swing hard and win and do something exciting, that's amazing. That's great. But you have to have your stuff balanced a little bit, your finances balanced. I'll give you a good example. Well, you guys know, first of all, that Total Financial Solutions, that's our company. It's about safer money choices, no risk, no fees, but we give up a couple of things, right? There's a couple of catches. One is you're going to have a cap on your rate of return. You're going to have a maximum that you can make. If the cap is 10%, that's the most you're going to make. If the cap is 12, it doesn't matter what the market does, you're not going to earn more than 12. Okay, so understand that there's a cap. That's one of the catches. But the bottom also has a cap. That means 0. You're not going to make less than 0. You're not going to earn more than about 12. Okay. Now you say, well, that's kind of interesting. That's nice. What's the other catch? Well, the other catch is, as long as you're able to withdraw or live on or pull out 10% per year or less during a predetermined period of time, 10 years, 5 years, 8 years, whatever it is that you choose, then you're not going to have to pay a fee. So there's no monthly fee, no quarterly fee, no annual fee. Well, gosh, that's pretty interesting. Yep. Here's why this is important. A 63-year-old lady came into my office recently. She had an account that she had had for since 2013, so 5.5 years. Okay, 5.5 years. She was just here last week. I try to give you updated stuff as if it's really happening and it's happening now, not some anecdotal, I read it in a book. This is real. This really happened less than a week ago. Okay, here's where it went. She put in $200,000 5.5 years ago, July. Okay? By opening that account, she paid 3.35% in fees. Not a little bit. That is enormous. Today, or when we looked at it last, which was a couple of days ago, she had, actually it was yesterday morning, we did a last minute review, and it had gone down. It was $200,240. She put it in 5.5 years ago. You guys, it's $200,000 is what she opened the account with. Today it's $196,000. Oh, and by the way, she paid over $35,000 in fees. I mean, do you understand? And so we're talking to the broker on the other side of the phone, and I'm not telling her to sell it or to buy or to sell or anything. I'm just saying, so is this something you would have sold? Knowing what you know today, is this something you would have sold her? Well, she does have this income account that guarantees 5%. No, it doesn't. Not if she pulls out any money. She loses everything. As far as the gains, they don't grow anymore. Now, if she takes it out just once, but you have to understand, look, these products are not built. They're called a variable annuity. They're not built for you to have maximum gain. The fees are substantial if you're not careful. The most I have seen is 5%. I think it was 5.3. The average is 3.3. That was exactly what this lady had, 3.35. She has less money than she put in. Her broker made $36,000, or somebody, her broker's supervisor's boss, manager, secretary, somebody took the money. She doesn't have it. It's gone. And you have to ask yourself, if the money left her and went to Wall Street's apparatus, what about you? You might think I have a balanced retirement strategy, right? I have a pension, I have 401k. That's great. But what if your pension doesn't grow in cost of living increases? Did you know that? What if the pension doesn't seem to give you what you thought? In other words, they say, listen, we're going to pay out 75%. Here's what I would do. If I was somebody expecting out a pension, I would plan on living on 75% of what they're telling me I'm going to receive. Now, if it's more than that, great, I win. But why do I think that? Because most pension systems, California State, CalSTRS, which is the teachers, most of them are between 75 and 85% funded. That means that if they want to survive, they can pay out no more than that, or they're going to have to raise substantial taxes on the folks that are still working. So for those of middle class and upper middle class people that are going to leave the state when they retire, your money is not here to be paying taxes back to the state of California. So who will the state of California use to get its taxes to pay for the pensions and the promises that these progressive left-leaning politicians promised? Wrongfully so, by the way, because you can't promise something you cannot deliver. That's not right. That's immoral. Do I think teachers don't work hard? Oh my gosh, they work hard. Teachers are not only doing teacher jobs, they're doing parent jobs, right? They're doing police officer jobs. You took away the education and you made them have to break up fights. You took away the education and they have to teach basic manners. When you people send your children to school and they don't know how to be respectful, the teacher can't even start to teach math, English, writing, or arithmetic of any sort. What do they have to do? This is don't interrupt, behave, sit in your chair, wait your turn. So of course they should get, combat pay. But if you don't plan accordingly, then why are you promising something you cannot deliver? That's my point. It's union bosses. It's politicians. Everybody has a calculator, you guys. You have to set aside and protect your family's finances. I don't believe that Social Security is going to be what you think it is. They're going to have to inflate the currency. They're already doing it. They haven't given you a pay raise for 9 or 10 years. Why? Because they're waiting for the currency to be inflated. They're waiting for a dollar to only buy 60, 70 cents worth of stuff that it did just 10 years ago. So that your $2,000 Social Security check, which might have been sufficient 10 years ago, is barely enough to pay bills. You wonder why you're going backwards. So here's some solutions to that. Number one, I want you to have a retirement account outside of your work. I want you to have a retirement account where you get to decide with whom you invest with whom you save with, what it looks like. You get to control the values. You get to control when and how and if. Those things matter. So that if you leave your job, you have a place to put new money if you want to keep it together. Okay, a lot of folks forget that in the world of retirement, the ball is still in your court. You do not have to rely on a government, or you don't have to rely on some sort of a public entity to give you retirement. That never existed before. Okay, so keep in mind, your purpose for your future, for your retirement, is not about going in and expecting the government to give you everything for free. Okay, don't expect that. You saw what happened to healthcare. You guys have heard my story. For those of you just joining us, 2 years ago, my health insurance, 3 years now coming up, my health insurance was $870 a month for a family of 5. Today, it's $3,200 a month for a family of 5. But you understand, whatever your health insurance is, you have to make more than that because they've raised taxes in California. So you actually have to make $50,000, $60,000 a year, pay $20,000 to the government in taxes, and then get your $30,000 to the insurance company. Otherwise, you don't do it with pre-tax money. It's not as if you make $20 an hour and $20 goes to them. You make $20 an hour and maybe $15 actually can go because the rest of it is paid in payroll tax and income tax, etc. So I want to teach you to do the math. Have an outside account. That's very important. Number 2, keep in mind that your financial life should be a lot more than just spending and accumulating stuff. All of us like things, but in retirement, people start to shed things. They start to push things away, kind of simplify your life, and there's a lot of reasons to do it. One is there's a realistic expectation that you're probably not going to get to that jet ski again, right? Maybe. You're not going to be a big downhill skier anymore. Snowboarding just isn't your thing. Now, maybe not. For a lot of people, that's part of... I know a 75-year-old who still snow skis like nobody's business. My goodness. He's an expert. Right? But there are other things in your life that maybe you tried and it's time to start unwinding some of those things. And by doing that, you can, believe it or not, you can actually donate it to somebody who needs it. And that will allow you an amazing opportunity. It'll give you an amazing opportunity to help somebody else's life, and you get a tax break. I like those things. Okay, number 3. I want you to go through life and start deciding what experiences you haven't done yet. Because for retirement, a lot of us are planning on retiring. We all have a great expectations. Yeah, when I retire, I'm going to mow the lawn, clean out the garage. Okay, that's done in a week or 4 or 5 or 8 weeks. Then what? So I want you to have an experience. I don't care if it's hiking the Pacific Crest Trail, from the Mexican border to the Canadian border. I don't care if your experiences mean I want to travel around the world or take a cruise for the first time. I want you to have something and experience. Why? Because you're the youngest and healthiest you're probably going to ever be. And because of that, I want you to have a chance to enjoy life. You've given to a lot of people. You've heard me talk about some of the changes happening in the California economy. And if you've guessed that I'm pretty bugged about it, well, you've guessed right. I think California is running out the good people. Unless you're one of the young kids, the 25-year-olds that make $200,000 a year in the tech world, and there are those out there that go around in skateboards, who have safe spaces and cry rooms and opportunities to play basketball so that they can get their creativity juices going while they're still making, $1,000 that day. There are people that have that kind of lifestyle. Wonderful. It isn't going to be the police officers, the firefighters, the teachers, the construction workers. Those folks are not going to have cry rooms, just so you know. But the young people that can afford $2,000 a month rent for a one-bedroom apartment, that's great. That's not the norm. So you're going to have to budget, figure out what's experiences. And because I think California is chasing people away, part of your experiences might be finding a place where you want to retire. So you can build into the next 5 years prior to your retirement. Part of your experiences are traveling and visiting the places, the cities, the states, the counties that you want to live. Figure out what it's like to vacation there. Have a hub and travel around and see what the rest of the community is like. Is it really a place that I want to live? Do I really like the people? Right? When you're on vacation, everything's great because you're on vacation. You have a great time. The food's better. People are better. Everything's happy because you're on vacation. But when you live at a place, the folks, you start to see the real life. You might be pleasantly surprised or you might be unhappy. It's good to know that. Because when you settle in at a place and you become part of the community, your friends and family that are there, they have a normal life to lead. They're not going to just come over and visit. Right? If you pop into the Philippines, or my dad's from Lebanon, or you're visiting your family in Brazil, and you go there, everybody drops everything because they haven't seen you forever. It's a faraway place. Everybody's spending time with you. It's late nights. It's food. It's dancing. It's singing. It's a lot of things. But if you live there, well, it's just back to normal. We'll see you a week from Friday, maybe. Right? So you got to see if the world is the same when you're on vacation, at least the parts that matter to you, versus the parts that are, I don't know, maybe just there because it's a special one-time event. Right? So that's important. And the last thing I want to cover before we take a break and come back was, I think, some pretty important stuff, and this is going to matter a little bit, because I'm going to give you some travel tips as we get through the holiday, lighten it up a little bit, some travel tips and tricks. But before we do, I want you to start thinking outside the box. Usually one of you, husband and wife, are the negative Nelly, as they say. You're the one that always finds something wrong. Say, what if it doesn't work? But what if this happens? What if it breaks? What if? Now that person fine. They have a lot of power when you're married, especially if you want to be happily married. They have a lot of power. But if you're that person, I want you to start setting that aside a little bit. Start setting it aside and start looking and saying, what is it like for me to actually, what if it actually works? Right? What if we can actually travel or take a cruise and it will cost less than $1,000? What if we could actually fly first class and it will cost less? Right? Those are things that you can do where suddenly the possibilities open up. All right, we're going to come back in just a break. Travel tips and tricks. You're not going to want to miss this. It's a lot of fun. When we come back on your place for News Talk Information, I'm Arif Halaby on the Total Financial Hour. You have a question, give us a call at 888-99-RETIRE, 888-99-RETIRE. We'll be right back.
Why do people from all over Santa Clarita come to our spa in Canyon Country? Simple. They want the highest quality services at prices that everyone can afford. This is Rosemary from Beyond Harmony Med Spa. Read our reviews and know why we won the Ultimate Beauty Awards 2 years in a row by the readers of Elite Magazine. Come and see how close we really are and experience the level of excellence that our clients have loved for the past 13 years. Go to beyondharmony.com or call 298-8008 today for a free consultation.
There are 3 so-called superfoods you should never eat. They could be toxic to your body and might be draining your energy. You can learn how to avoid these superfoods and replace them with a healthy diet. Visit GetEnergy5.com to discover the key superfoods to avoid. Dr. Stephen Gundry, former cardiac surgeon and best-selling author, shares how you can become healthier and happier. GetEnergy5.com. That's GetEnergy5.com.
GetEnergy5.com. Mission Valley Bank puts the community in community banking. They strive to be your most trusted bank. Mission Valley Bank is happy to sponsor KHTS Holiday Music. Happy holidays!
Chestnuts roasting on an open fire.
This Christmas, join us for the ultimate holiday concert, A Very Merry Christmas with the Letterman, Sunday, December 9th, 5 p.m. at the Santa Clarita Performing Arts Center. The legendary Letterman here in Santa Clarita singing your favorite holiday classics. Joining them is Santa Clarita's singing sensation, Savannah Burrows, along with our very own West Ranch High School choir. You'll also hear the Letterman perform their string of top 10 hits. A Very Merry Christmas with the Letterman.
Have yourself a merry little Christmas.
The Letterman, Savannah Burrows, and West Ranch Choir, Sunday, December 9th. For tickets, visit canyonspack.com.
Merry Christmas.
Santa Clarita's hometown station.
Now FM, 98.1 FM, and AM 1220. Your hometown station.
Financial security will help you live the life you dream. Learn about financial power, the Total Financial Hour. Now higher income strategy. Learn from Arif Halaby. Learn about financial power, the Total Financial Hour. Now Arif has a plan for me. Higher income strategy. I'll retire comfortably, thanks to Arif Halaby. Now every dollar's got a job to do. Arif makes your money work for you.
Hey, welcome back to the show. Hey, thanks for staying with me, folks, as we continue this hour of the program. We're talking about the travel tips for the holidays. Hey, this is a lot of fun, and I'll tell you why. I grew up in a family that didn't have a lot of extra things, but man, oh man, did we fly and travel because my dad worked for the airlines. So as bizarre as it sounds, and this was before the securities and the long lines at LAX, we would come home early from school on a Friday, say, oh, why is Dad's car home? And sometimes it would be, hey, kids, pack up. We're going to Hawaii for the weekend. Kind of amazing, huh? But because we flew for free. When you fly what's called non-revenue, and you have to make sure there's enough seats and all of that. But when you fly standby or non-rev, it doesn't cost anything. Sometimes it wasn't even, you didn't even have to pay for the taxes. I know when I flew to Europe, when I was a kid, I had to pay the taxes. I think it was $80, to fly round trip to Europe. So remember, when I say things like that, a lot of folks, I have a friend whose husband actually works for Delta Airlines specifically so that they can fly back and forth to Europe because that's their favorite thing, and they do that for free. They have to fly during the time that, that not a lot of folks fly, so sometimes it's red eye, etc., but it can be a lot of fun. Okay, so here's what we do. Getting ready to take a trip. I want you to take pictures of your luggage, everything, before you get on the plane. You can take a picture of your luggage in multiple angles. Here's the reason. You're flying and it gets lost. Yeah, I have a black bag. It's about this big. Really? What's unique about your black bag that looks this big? Nothing, because everybody has a black bag. Now, the solution for some is to buy the pink, purple, polka dots, flowers, whatever. Okay, that's fine. That's not my choice. Instead, I want a bit more simple, more conservative type approach. But here's an idea. You take a picture of it, and you email it to yourself. So now it's within the email system in case you lose your phone. You can log onto your email, your webmail from any place. So once you email it to yourself and it's within the system, and if it gets lost or if it gets stolen, you now have pictures of your luggage to show to the gate agents or the folks that would be looking for it. And then they can upload it and send it to the folks at the airport in Guam, if that's where it was redirected, and say, does it look like this? And here's 3 angles. Yep, that's the one. Okay. Another thing I want you to do is to take pictures of your driver's licenses, passports, and your credit cards that you're taking with you. By doing that and leaving them at home, now I also take a picture of my passport and I take it with me in a paper copy, but I put it in a different place. In case, if you're traveling international, of course, in case your passport is stolen. All right? Now, I do that because if I'm missing or there's a problem or somebody needs to get a hold of who I am and what's going on, it's in the safe place at home, whether it's on my desk or on the kitchen counter, whatever it is, for your family or friends to be able to reach back out to you in case there's a problem. I also want you to have a recent picture of yourself. That's kind of a big deal too. And why this matters is because sometimes things happen in very weird ways, right? You just don't know. And by having those pictures of stuff left behind makes a good idea. Okay, when I talked about your luggage here, this is important to my tips and travel tips, right? Certainly you have one, give us a call at 888-99-RETIRE. That's 888-997-3847. I'd love to hear your tips and tricks. I put together a holiday travel tips and tricks radio show, but we also do one just before summer because a lot of folks hit the road. Okay, we're talking about taking a picture of your luggage. We do that in case it gets lost or stolen. But I also want you to put name tags on your bags. Now, pretty simple. You can get those free ones right at the counter, right, when you're checking in. But also on your carry-on. Don't forget, your carry-on is separate from you sometimes, whether it's in the overhead bag or down below. It's sometimes not in your possession. Put it in the furthest out pocket. So put it inside one of the pockets and then attach it twice. So one on the handle on the long way, one on the handle on the short way. And what that does is it gives, in case it gets ripped off in travel, somebody's moving, somebody's grabbing it and it gets ripped off, at least your name is there. And if they have to open it, they can find an identifying place in the first place they look, which is usually the outside pocket. Okay. When you put your bag up top, we are getting an enormous amount of reports of why you're sleeping on long-haul flights. People are going into your bags that are up above the top, and they're stealing things. Yeah. Folks that are already on a plane, there isn't, for most aircraft, there is not a camera down the aisle. Some do have it these days, but not all of them. So it's difficult to figure out, who was the one that got into your bag. And how did you know they didn't get into their bag next to yours? Right? You don't know what they're doing up there when they're standing up and they're the only one next to the bin. So the overhead bin, be very careful if you're going to put anything of value. I want that next to you, at your feet or next to you. I don't want it sitting up top. And when you travel, if you're going to check a bag, and especially if you are training planes, right? You're getting off at one plane, flying out of Dallas or Denver, and you're switching planes and you're going into another one. I want you to take one set of carry-on. Now, here's a big deal. I have used this, so I know it works. I take with me in my carry-on, usually my bathing suit this time of year. Why? Because I'm not always going to the Arctic. Usually we'll take a vacation and we'll go down to the Bahamas, or people will take a trip down to the Caribbean or to Mexico where the water's warm and it's a great place to go. You're getting away from the cold. You're getting away from the crummy weather. and you go down there and your bag is lost. Well, I want you to have one change of everything, but most importantly, believe it or not, your bathing suit. Have that in your bag with you. So while they're looking for your bag and it's going to come on the next flight and it will be here in 4 hours, just go sit out by the pool. Go hang out at the ocean, right? So you're not stuck sitting around waiting for for your clothes to arrive. Okay, now you get to the hotel or to the airport. I have used this many times, especially when flying later at night. Is I arrive at the airport a little early, about 2 hours early, and I go to the counter and I ask for an upgrade. Now, if you're dressed nice and you have miles or you're a frequent flyer, sometimes they'll just give it to you. But sometimes they sell it. And we were flying to Central America on a vacation, and we went to the counter to ask for an upgrade, and they said, well, you only paid $300 for your round-trip ticket, but you can get an upgrade for an extra $100 each direction. Right now, we only know that going there is open, so we can give you $100 plus your ticket to get first class going there. Now, we were flying at the red eye, so I loved the extra space. I could lay out. It was nice. I wasn't in the center seat, so it made sense. And airlines will upgrade you very inexpensively, but you have to get there early because it's a limited number of folks. And you have to do it from the counter. You can't usually do it from your phone or from the computer. So I have found that works on a couple of airlines. All right, listen, you guys are tuning into Arif Halaby at the Total Financial Hour. You're saying, wait a second. Listen, I tell you, I think life in retirement is about experiences. For me, it's not about driving a fancy car, although I love cars. It's not about buying the biggest house on the hill, although I love that stuff. It's about having fun, having experiences with the people you love and the people you want to be around. Okay, so I'm going over some of those tips and tricks because I think to lighten it up a little bit, right? There's enough crazy stuff going on in the world. How about this? When you are going to be booking your airline ticket, believe it or not, by searching on the websites, the airline sites, it'll give you an idea of who flies and when, but then you can go directly to those airline sites. So in other words, if you find out that American Airlines goes to that place, go directly to the American Airlines website. And you can say, I want to adjust my hours. I want to go at a different time. And don't be afraid to check again. Even if you've booked your ticket, check again and again because you can move it. You can sometimes change from a higher price ticket to a lower price ticket weeks before you actually fly. And I have found, and this is pretty incredible, I have found that if you are somebody who stays on top of that, you can often get a first class ticket or a business class at least for about the same price as you would have paid for originally for a coach. But you have to search around. You have to go to the different websites, and don't be afraid to do that. With a rental car, the same thing applies. Let me tell you, book the rental car, lock it down. And you can check in the middle of the night, sometimes 10, 11 o'clock before you go to bed. We have saved countless dollars on rental cars, from $300 for a 5-day rental down to $160. Recently, I had a 2-day rental that was about, I think, $54 or something. $53, $54 instead of almost $200, because car rental agencies, they don't have cancellation penalties, so you can book 2 at a time and then just keep searching and you keep upgrading or changing. All right, so don't be afraid to do that. And when you take your printout for your rental car to the counter, listen, I have friends and family that have worked in that world. Okay, they're nice people, but I don't know why that is the sneakiest place in the world. It used to be, buying a used car, you'd have to take a shower afterwards. I rent enough cars when I travel where you go there and it says on the printout, $100, $120.52. And they'll say, okay, here it is, $170. You say, but I have a confirmation number. Just put in this confirmation. Sometimes you have to fight with them a little bit. So double check that. For some reason, they love to check boxes or make mistakes or, sorry, we didn't see that at the rental car. I don't know if it's all because they work on commission or what the sneaky story is, but that's one industry that I'm not very trusting of. Okay, so be very careful with the rental car. All right, hey, you heard me mention if you dress a little nicer, why is that the case for upgrades? And you have to act a little nicer, believe it or not. Be friendly. How many people are jerks? Have you ever watched that show, Airport? You sit around and you say, you got to be kidding. These people actually think the folks that are supposed to look for their luggage, if they berate them, they're going to look harder for their luggage. I was standing in line. We had a lost luggage, and we were sitting there, and the guy next to me was just yelling at the gentleman who worked for the airlines. And he was doing his best. He wasn't raising his voice. He was typing on the computer, looking for things, asking questions. And the man was just screaming, you know what? And so the employee stopped, looked up, moved his hands away from the keyboard, and he looked at him right in his eyes. I thought, oh man, he's going to punch him. And he said, sir, there's only 2 people in the whole world who care about getting your bag back. And if you keep it up, soon it's only going to be 1. So you better be nice to me. And I thought, oh my gosh, how brilliant is that? And the guy stopped raising his voice, stopped yelling. And I went, oh, that was a good one. I'm going to use that. Pretty good, huh? Be nice to the folks. They have a job to do. When they go home, they have kids that are sick and husbands that are not nice, or divorces, or right? They have lives just like you and I. I had a gentleman call into I use that word loosely. I had a man call into my office today. He said, I heard you on the radio. I'd like to talk to you. I'm not telling you anything. Okay, well, I don't know what I can do. What can I help you with? And then he proceeded to be rude to my staff. And then he started cursing and using the F word. Now listen, we don't need any one client. We need clients to survive. And you don't need any one financial person. You can work with anybody. Right? The world is open. The reason we both choose to work together is because it's a mutually beneficial relationship. But we don't have to put poison in our life, no more than you have to put poison in your life. So be kind to the folks that work at airlines. Right? It's a difficult job, especially the holidays. My goodness. Okay. Here's one of my favorites. And I think I'm going to do this one day. I haven't done it. I had a client that did this. This is very, very important. If you like to travel, what he did is he booked an around-the-world airline ticket. And it's about $3,000. Can you imagine that? You can get them as low as $1,500. The average, let's say, $4,000 around the world. And here's how they work. So there are different airline groups. There's Sky Team, Star Alliance, One World. Okay, so there are different groups. And they're made up of various airlines. So in other words, in the United States, it's American Airlines and so and so and so and so, and that's part of one group. United Airlines is part of another group. And they have teams, whether it's in Tahiti or Fiji, or whether it's Australia or India, etc., right? So in each region, there's at least one of the airlines that belong to these groups. So you can buy a round-the-world airline ticket. And as long as you fly in the same direction, as long as you fly within 6 months, some of them are time, some of them are miles. So for example, you can fly to Hamburg, Germany, and then drive all around Europe, go back to the same airport, and continue heading east, if that's the direction you started in. Go down to South Africa, as long as it's on the other side of the latitude and longitude lines, right? As long as you're down there, you can continue, and then you drive around up north, south, go back, get on a plane, and now head out again. So there are different places that you can travel. Some sites allow you to put in the route. I want to go to this airport, and then it maps it out, and it tells you the cost. And it says, this is the best way to go if you want to start leaving here and return at this date. Some of them are a year, some of them are 6 months, some of them are 3 months. But you get to travel nonstop. Go to Nairobi, Kenya, and then you turn around, and because one airline doesn't fly there, you might have to go to a different airline. But that's okay, because it's all part of the same group. You're on safari, you're down in South Africa, you're traveling and hitting different areas. These are pretty exciting times because you get a chance to live, in my opinion, and have a fun and exciting experience, because that is what matters. Right? Experiences including stopovers where you actually can serve other people, where you can actually, if you like to build houses for the needy, you want to serve in a medical clinic, right? If your retirement, if your skill set, you spent 30, 40 years doing, maybe now you get to work in a field where part of your travel experience is donating your time or your expertise. I don't know if anything else can be more fulfilling. Right? You're doing the will of God, helping other people, making a difference. That's pretty exciting, I think. Right? Because the rest of the world doesn't always think that way. The United States is the largest exporter, even per capita, where they go out and they give you multiple places to where you can donate your time. All right, here's another one. I want you to take your own pillow and blanket. Now, listen, I know they come in a plastic bag, and that's nice, but not all of them do. And certainly the pillows, they just put a new pillowcase on it, so what? You realize they don't clean those things, the inside of the pillows. They're not disposable. They might put a new pillowcase on it. If the blanket is wrapped up in the plastic cellophane, okay, I'll give it a little bit of kudos there. But I want you to take it. Why? Because you know your own way of how cold and hot you get. And sometimes they run out. Sometimes they're not there. Sometimes it's nice to use it for your back instead of a blanket. So by taking your own pillow and blanket, you are in control. Now, I have a rule. All my kids know this. We all do this. This is what we do. You go through security, and you go immediately to go buy at least 1 or 2 bottles of water. Because I have been stuck on an airport tarmac in the south of France because we were leaving from Italy to go to Geneva, and the plane that was supposed to leave at 4 o'clock leaves at 11 p.m., and they closed the airport in Geneva at midnight. And the Italian pilots were like, yeah, midnight, 12:15, yeah. They go, no, we're the inventors of the watch. We're the Swiss. So when we said midnight it closes, it closes. So we didn't have enough fuel to turn around, so we had to land at some airport, and it was closed, so there wasn't anybody there. So here we are without anybody to refuel us, to take us off the plane, and they just have us sitting there with the sides of the airplane open, 3 stories off the ground. So they ran out of water. They didn't have air conditioning because there wasn't any power. So realize you're going to have to take your own supplies. People get stuck on the tarmac all the time. Bad weather. You might have wonderful weather where you are, but the planes coming from or to Dallas or from Salt Lake or from Boston, they might be delayed, and it stalls the whole system. Okay, so be very careful. If you're on a plane, I want you to go through security, grab a bottle of water. Now, you might say, oh, I'm going to fill up my own bottle and save a penny or a planet or something. I don't care. Whatever your social, flavor of the week is, go ahead, but get water. Take at least 2. Okay? Very important. Simply because you might have to give one to somebody else. All right? So think of it as a service. All right. Here's another thing that's kind of a big deal. When you check into a hotel, I don't want you just to check into a hotel and walk away. I'd like you to check into a hotel, set your stuff, right? Hang up the clothes and all of that. But immediately go out and look for the exits. I call it exploring. Where the closest exit is. What does it look like? And, okay, this sounds a little weird, but I've seen enough of those horror movies and even remember with the fire in the MGM Grand and some of the other places, right? Count how many doors from you to the exit. So you're 6 doors away from the fire exit. Because if it's full of smoke, you're not going to be able to stand up and look. You're going to have to crawl. And is this somebody's bedroom door, or is it the stairway to the fire escape, right? The exit. So count your ways down. A little bit weird, but I do it that way. And when you are in the hotel, if the people, remember what they did to Aaron Andrews? Remember that the sportscaster, the real pretty attractive sportscaster, some creepo guy was following her around, and what did he do? He invented some sort of an opposite device where it takes the refraction of the peephole and he puts it up to the window, and it looks like he's looking through a window, and he's now magnified on the other side as if it was reversed. Well, those things can be made and bought for free everywhere. I mean, it's simple, right? So always have something that you can put over the peephole if you have any worry about privacy. I do. I think it's good to do that. Put that over the top. And then when I check into a hotel, when it's getting ready to go to sleep, because I've spent a lot of time in Las Vegas. How many of you guys have done that? Right? And they walk down the hallways and they're screaming and yelling at 3 o'clock in the morning and yelling, usually having fun. Smoking cigarettes, they're not supposed to, but they still do. And it whiffs into your room. Now I get the smell. I get the smell of weed, marijuana coming into my room. Come on, man, really? So what I do is I take a towel and I roll it up and I put it against the bottom of the door. I'm giving you guys all my secrets here. I do that because I don't want the smell of smoke coming into my room, especially if I'm out, right? And then by the time I come in, the whole room is full. You can't really do it on your door if you're out, but you can do it if there's a connecting door I had at one time, my wife and I were staying at the Cosmopolitan. We come back from a concert in the middle of the night, and we had a connecting room. And the room guys were men next to us, and you could hear them laughing and joking, and our whole room smelled like a pot party from, Fast Times at Ridgemont High. I totally... So, what do? Right? You're stuck. So keep that in mind. The idea is to have something that keeps the smell from coming in and out. When you check in, I like that the Explore idea because I want to have some protection. Right? Things happen in hotels. If you don't travel as much as I do, sometimes folks are traveling for business and you have your own routine. When we come back, I want to finish up with a couple more tips and tricks, but we'll finish up with some financial tips for the holidays. Some things I want you to remember, keep you out of trouble financially, maybe even a plan that can help you start the new year in the black. And a tip, the black is better than the red because I don't want you to have a negative debt. And still paying for your presents in March, April, May. People do that. We're going to get that fixed. We can do that when we return on the Total Financial Hour. I'm Arif Halaby. Thanks for staying with me. 888-99-RETIRE. It goes straight to our office. It also comes here in the station if you have a question that we want to put on the air. 888-99-RETIRE. That's 888-997-3847. We'll be right back on your hometown station, KHTS.
Your building sign is essential in getting customers to your location. Feathers can help get your business noticed. They walk you through each phase of your building sign project, providing special attention to detail and quality. Feathers will give you a sign you can be proud of. Your building sign will draw customers in instead of having them drive by. Feathers on Soledad in Canyon Country, across from the Edwards Theater. Or go to feathersphoto.com. That's feathersphoto.com.
Genghis Khan Mongolian Barbecue and Chinese Buffet, healthy vegetables and lean meats, a low-carb treat. Create your own bowls with our delicious meats and always fresh vegetables. Then, blend in your own secret sauce. Feast at the all-you-can-eat buffet and barbecue for the same low price. A local favorite for over 25 years, Genghis Khan is still located on Lyons Avenue just east of the I-5. Enter between the Chevron and Shell gas stations. Come and see us soon at Genghis Khan.
Hey there, it's Tori with your hometown station weather. Mostly sunny today. We're looking at highs in the mid-70s. Some clouds overnight with a low around 50 degrees. Then the rain moves in. Rain is expected both Wednesday and Thursday. For anything and everything Santa Clarita Valley related, go to hometownstation.com or find us on social media at KHTS Radio.
Your hometown station.
Santa Clarita's hometown station.
Now FM 98.1 FM and AM 1220. Your hometown station.
Financial security will help you live the life you dream. Learn about financial power, the Total Financial Hour. Now higher income strategy.
Hey, welcome back to the show. I'm Arif Halaby. Thanks for staying with me. Hey, folks, we are talking about your financial life. Hey, part of what happens when you are working to build, a life and you're struggling. Look, the biggest thing that I'm hearing from our clients now is that this has been an amazing year financially. By and large, I would say 5-1, people are saying this is one of the best years they've ever had. For some reason, they didn't equate that, or some did maybe, to Donald Trump and forget him as a person. Listen, he's not my friend, he's not my enemy, he's our president. Just fix my country. And he's doing it. I'm excited about that. Right? You can find anything about anybody, including your spouse, that you didn't like. So enough is enough. But getting rid of the regulations, getting rid of the silliness, the 17 agencies, right, to do the same job, federal, state, county, local. Why does everybody have to have their hands in the same thing? And everybody's being taxed, and everybody has a pension, and everybody has health insurance that the government has to pay for, which means you and me. By smoothing that system out a little bit and getting rid of double and triple and quadruple agencies, and by giving tax breaks, right? The obvious part about this is when you give a tax break, there's more money to go around. When you remove regulations and you give tax breaks, companies and individuals feel better. And when people feel better, they do real things like spend more money, like invest, buy another building, expand their operations, buy another piece of machinery. All of that has trickled down through to every person. The whole, well, trickle-down economics don't work. Baloney, folks. All I care about is math and logic. That's it, math and logic. Your feelings are nice, but it doesn't have a lot to do with money until you spend money. Now we talk about you spending more money. And that's what people are doing. And I'm very excited about that because that means you get to have a little bit more comfort. But don't forget, I don't want you to spend everything. Right? Don't spend all of the goodies that you're making this year. Value relationships, much more so. If you can buy from somebody, a small business or an individual that you have worked with in the past who has treated you right when things weren't that good. You know, there's a gentleman, when I first opened my office on Lyons Avenue, way up by Orchard Village, and I went out on my own, first time. It was like 2001, too. Right, I've been doing this 22 years, but it's the first time I paid for everything. It was my name on the building, my name on the lease. And the internet was a new thing. And there was a man by the name of George Daggett. Some of you know him. He doesn't even know I'm saying this. But he came to my office. We needed the phone lines and the internet, and I don't know what it was going to cost. I don't remember. I'm just going to make up a number, $1,000. Well, we had just moved in. We had to buy furniture. We had to staff. We had to get a phone system. I didn't realize you had to buy a copier, and that was cost that much money. So all of this stuff was happening. And so what we did is we ran, I think it was a 50-foot telephone cord from the one place where we actually had a phone line that was open by the copy machine. And we ran that to everybody's computer. So, okay, I need to go on the internet. All right, let me have the phone. Plug it in. Plug it into your computer. We get on the line. Okay, I've got everything I need. Unplug it. Go to the secretary's computer. So we all worked off of whenever I needed the internet, you just grab this long cord. Well, anyway, George and his I think 2 boys walk in, and they give us the proposal. It was very fair. We just didn't have the money. I didn't know what it was going to cost. I didn't think it was that much. But he saw what we were doing, and here's what he did. I was out the next day. He came back with a list of tools, materials, bag of tools, and he went to work. And he said, Arif, you're a man of your word. You said you would pay when you can. I just need to get you up and running. Now, folks, how long ago was that? 18 years ago? It was 2000, maybe 2001, probably 2000, I think. Summer of 2000. That's incredible, right? So when we moved our office again and we grew and we expanded, and then we grew again and we expanded, when we did that and we kept, guess who we called? I didn't even look. I can tell him this now, but I didn't even look at his proposal. Whatever the number was that he wrote down, it's what we did because we had succeeded financially. And we said thank you to him. And if I can ever tell anybody about how amazing a person is, that, because he didn't have to. All right, so you're going to have people like that in your life. You can use their services. You have now made a little bit more money. You're a bit better financially off. Help somebody else. I don't mean give them something for free. I would never do that. Right? Giving somebody something for just existing is called socialism. Giving somebody something for working, that's amazing. That's honorable. So you find that person, right? Find that person and say, hey, you were great to me when times were tough a couple of years ago, and now times are good. I want to use your services. All right? Second is I don't want you to procrastinate because holidays will come and go rather quickly. And from a holiday shopping standpoint, an amazing part of this opportunity is for you to get deals if you act right away in some cases, right? Including last year's electronics. Buying next year's electronics, okay, fine. You're just not going to get a deal on it. And nobody's ever come to my house and said, "Oh, that TV is from from 2016, not 2017." Nobody cares. Hey, is it a big TV? Does it work when I push the button? Does it look like I'm in a theater? I'm pretty happy. All right? And also, don't forget that sales don't end on Black Friday or Cyber Monday or Stay-at-Home Tuesday or whatever they call this stuff. The sales continue. And businesses are always willing to deal because they have to book the end of the year. The numbers have to work. So plan a budget, go through this process, and serve and give back to those that have given you when times were tougher. We're in a great spot right now financially. Many of our clients, most of you, are doing much better than you were before. And that's a way to reward those for servicing and visiting their businesses. Thanks for staying with me. I'm Arif Halaby, the Total Financial Hour, on your place for News Talk Information. This is KHTS.